Beepity 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 beep beep beep. It's me, the jester, with all the news. Mermaids. I'll tell you, this made me laugh this morning, but you know, it's a bit of an update. I did a thing a few days ago about mermaids getting in this bunch of CSJ nutters to sort out their nutter organisation, and I think they probably shat in their own hole. Right? Okay. So what we've got here is an update on that from the Telegraph. Right? Okay. So here we go. Do the usual, subscribe, come and be a warrior teacher, buy me a coffee if you can help out, that'd be great, just before Christmas. Right, okay, so if you can help, that'd be great. Look, we already know what's been going on in Mermaids, because, you know, Susie Green's been ousted, haven't she? If I was her, I'd be Susie Green card in America right now. 4 things happened here. Get going, leave, off your pop, right? But it gets even better, I mean, it gets even more delicious, and that's the most extraordinary thing, is that Mermaids is refusing to let staff see a report into ousted boss Susie Green's leadership because there are not safe spaces in which to read it. Can't they read it on the shitter? What's wrong with them? Right, take this to the toilet, have a read and a weep, and then come back. Right? There's not safe spaces in which to read it. This is absolutely mad, isn't it? I mean, they're being thoroughly strung up by their own petard. And that's what's happening. They're being hoisted by their own petard. It's their fault this crap's happening, right? And they've fallen foul of themselves, or at least that mad CSJ group they've got in to do it. So, the scandal hit Transgender Charities workforce was due to receive the highly critical audit on Monday. Now, the audit wasn't just Susie Green, it was Mermaids, right? And the audit was done because they said that they had issues. But they were choosing to focus on issues of race rather than what they've done to children, right? So they got in this group. And if you have a look at the About page, which you can't, because it's got, right, this critical social justice group, I'll put the link downstairs, they're absolute dodo birds, right? They've got them in. Right? So they brought the infection that they've been spreading into their own organisation. It's like the pathogen has mutated. You know what I mean? Somebody somewhere's gone, it's airborne! It's gerotised, and they've now got this pathogen in their own organisation. People were due to receive the highly critical audit, which I predict will never see the light of day because it's written by social justice warrior nutters. And they've realised that they're in trouble, right? Apparently the chief executive was forced out in a staff revolt. I love it. The staff are revolting, right? Okay. Last weekend, a whistleblower told the Telegraph how Miss Green faced a staff backlash over her incapable leadership. Now, I covered that in the other video, right? You remember that? Culminating in what they're calling the nail-in-the-coffin report, as seen by trustees. But on Monday, staff were told that the Board of Trustees felt we can't safely share the EDI, Equality, Diversity, Inclusion, it's not that, it's DI, right? Report today as we had planned, citing media reports and an unacceptable risk to the authors. To the authors, not to Mermaids, to the authors, the critical social justice nutters they got in, right? Okay, the social justice collective. Couldn't see it coming. Obviously, no foresight whatsoever, right? So they couldn't share it safely. Unacceptable risk to the authors. Maddox, that I read as Mac Cox when I saw it, because my brain does that. A Mermaids trustee wrote in the email that our first priority is the well-being of our staff. That's funny. You'd have thought their first priority would be well-being of the children. Not thinking right, these folk, are they? Right? Tut to you, Mr. Madcock. Right. Our first priority is the well-being of our staff, and given these events, it isn't possible to create the safe spaces for processing the report that are vital. What's in this fucking report? It's like there was an old Monty Python sketch years ago that was meant to be about the funniest joke ever told, and it was based in the Second World War. And these people had come up with the funniest joke ever told, and the bloke that wrote it probably dropped down dead. So they were dropping leaflets with it on over the German lines. Oh, this is the Words of Violence crowd, absolutely showing their colours. Oh, it's a violent report. You bunch of numpties, right? Okay. It's just so bad they can't show it because they'd have found racism and homophobia and transfer. They'll have found it all because that's what they do when you bring them in. They look for power and oppression narratives so they can destroy your organisation from inside and turn it into an activist blob, right? Like's happened to a lot of the corporates who've got themselves in hot water that will gradually begin to get rid of these, grievance weevils as the time comes, or gender-addled grievance gerbils, as I call them. The audit by the Social Justice Collective, a diversity group. Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Right. Follows staff complaints about alleged racism, safeguarding after a trustee spoke at a conference sympathetic to paedophiles, and Miss Green shoving her head in the sand over the scandals. Now, we knew about this because I laughed about her head in the sand the other day. Now, further whistleblowers have now come forward. This is the interesting thing. Staff are very upset and outraged that our well-being is being used as an excuse to bury the report. This is what they do. This is what these people do, okay? They are authoritarian, totalitarian control freaks, and they are under assault, and they know it, and they've got it wrong, and they know it, and they don't want the staff to know, because they now don't trust the staff. This is an organisation in decline. The reason you, staff, if any of you see this, aren't getting the report is because they don't trust you. They are hunkering, as I said before, in their bunker, right? It said that the calls between senior management and staff, you'd think in an important thing like this, they'd, turn up. Senior management and staff on Monday morning got very heated and hostile, and staff don't believe the report will ever see the light of day. I'm with the staff. I don't think it will either. I wonder how much they paid. It'll be thousands, because these people, just grift and take your money. That's how I see it. Perhaps they aren't. But, who knows? We'll never know. We'll never see the light of day. Right, okay. It's apparently staff have been leaving, and there's been upset among junior transgender staff. Oh, right, okay, I don't care. Upset about what? Reality? They allegedly were treated like children. We've been through this. Right, okay, so I'm not going to go through it again, but it's interesting, isn't it? That they're using the excuses that they've been pushing on everybody else. They now use them as an excuse to not do due diligence and not allow the staff to know what's happening. So suddenly it's no longer about protecting other people, it's about protecting themselves. Your trigger warnings and your safe spaces and your words of violence and your it's my lived experience and blah, 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 all your cobblers. Yes. I'm afraid, mermaids, that you're going to find yourself cut down to scale. Scale, fish, scale, never mind. Right? So, here we go, see, that's what it is. This is an organisation in badly need of an enema, as I've said previously. But how extraordinary that they use the idea that they need a safe space to read a report. Who have they employed? 11-year-olds? Or people so intellectually deficient and emotionally crippled that they are incapable of engaging with difficult subject matter? That's an interesting question, isn't it? I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is not a psychological problem. It's an intellectual one. That's what it is. People are stupid. Or they think that people are stupid because they're superior, because they're authoritarians. We know better than they do. We're not going to show them a report. Oh gosh, oh my, oh. I've seen it before. It's kind of empty-headed corporatism that flits around the office. You remember Jerry Maguire? Was it Jeremy Maguire where he wrote a report and told the truth about the company and they fired him? Got to play the game, folks, otherwise you can't win. Yep. So it's a bit like that, Jeremy. I've done it before now. I've written reports for clients and they paid me money to do it. And then when the report's gone out, they've taken out half of what I put in. Because they don't want the truth to be known. They'd rather skip along on the wrong path than take a halt, admit they got it wrong, and then skip along on a new path. And that is why mermaids will fall. That's why they fall in the end. Not what they've done to children, not the rubbish they've been spouting at schools, not the terrible imposition of them essentially telling companies to do things that companies should never be doing. None of that. That will be part of what led to it. But the downfall will be their unmitigating, unrelenting arrogance. Go well, good Jesterites.